So it's been a long time coming, but Assassin's Creed is a franchise that we all love and sometimes love to hate. There's the classic titles from years gone by and the more recent RPG ones, and there's a tension between certain fans and groups about which game is better, which game's worse, why it is, why it isn't, and overall, which one is the best and which one represents Assassin's Creed as a franchise. And well, in this video I'm going to be giving my favorite AC game ranking. Now this is my own personal opinion, I just have to point that out. My personal opinion, no one else's, just mine. You may hate what I say, you may hate where I ranked one of your favorite titles. Again, my own personal ranking. I'd also like to say I'm giving away a couple codes for the new microtransactions, outfit and horse available in Shadows. This is from the Dead by Daylight DLC and content update, so if you would like a chance to win that, comment down below what your favorite AC title is and why, and I will choose my favorite comment to win the codes. Now this is open to any console or platform. All you have to do is go into Shadows' microtransaction store, click redeem code, and then you'll be able to input the one which I give you if you win. I hope one of you do, and it's going to be a good one. Without further ado, let's just straight into the ultimate Assassin's Creed game ranking. So at number 14, and it's no surprise to anyone that's seen my channel and heard my thoughts and opinions on the game, it is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now Odyssey is where the franchise's RPG shift fully blooms, and it's not always for the better. The sprawling Greek world is breathtaking and it's stunning to walk around the cities, to sail on your ship, but the game's sheer size often feels empty and very repetitive. The dialogue choices and multiple endings give it a veneer of depth, but many feel like shallow branches on a sprawling tree. Cassandra / Alexios, depending on who you play, which is a bit weird because going through the latest RPG titles, Cassandra is the canon protagonist, so I really don't know why they decided to make either one playable. Probably to, I don't know, gain favor with people that were like, oh, we don't want to play as a female assassin, or all that shit. Again, play as Cassandra, it's the better experience, and in total, she is the canon one because you get to see her throughout other titles. Now, going back to why it's number 14, the story drifts into this generic fantasy, okay? Losing the Assassin Templar tension almost entirely. The Assassin's Creed identity here feels stretched too thin, replaced by loot hunts and grindy quests. The combat and RPG mechanics are a little bit improved from Origins, but the stealth is gone, okay? This is really disappointing to longtime fans. There's no stealth, okay? In this game, once you get your Spear of Leonidas, you basically become a demigod within the world of Assassin's Creed. Essentially, you are this Isu god, this being with unlimited power, and while you can teleport, assassinate, you can do all this stuff, you get some really cool looking and unique abilities and skill choices. It doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed. To me, it feels like if Phoenix Rising got a more realistic update and sequel. This is essentially what Assassin's Creed Odyssey is. Now yes, it's not all bad though. The game itself is beautiful. It's massively ambitious, but it sort of feels like it forgot what made Assassin's Creed special. And the DLC was actually kind of cool if you forget about the assassin elements. But I might do a video separate on the ranking of the best DLCs. Let me know if you like that. At number 13, we have Assassin's Creed Rogue. Now, Rogue is an interesting experiment. You know, we got to see the Templar perspective for once, something a lot of fans had been asking for. Our hero, Shay Patrick Cormac, is a rare anti-hero in the series, but his story is often overshadowed by the shadow of Black Flag. Now it's set in the time frame as AC3, and Rogue adds nice naval combat refinements and a compelling sense of moral ambiguity. However, it recycles much of Black Flag's map and mechanics without pushing the series forward. The tone is darker and it's a good change of pace, but the game feels like a footnote, a side story that didn't fully justify its existence beyond fans craving more pirate adventures, and you're not even a pirate within this game. I mean, I really did like seeing the assassins from this other perspective. The story does set precedents for maybe the assassins aren't always in the right. I mean, we meet Achilles, the master assassin and leader of this American Brotherhood at this point in time, before, you know, he obviously gets shot in the leg, which we do find out that Haytham does, which is quite cool to see. But you go away thinking, Jesus Christ, these assassins are morons. Like, and I get that. However, it is just a Black Flag DLC rehashed as a full game. I understand why they released this, because this game was released on the PS3 and Xbox 360 titles with back compat with PS4 and Xbox One, but they had AC Unity coming out at the same time, so maybe they thought, oh, we need to give fans that aren't upgrading their consoles something else to play, something to look forward to. And it does actually link in well with AC Unity's story, which you find out at the ending. I'm not going to spoil it too much because it is quite a unique ending and really does link the games together, which I think the newer titles need to do a lot more, because you go from the recent RPG ones, go from one, go to the other, and there's no link. That is something Rogue does well. But again, it's a Black Flag DLC released as a full title game with no improvements and a cool story. It's just not worth it, to be honest. And then we go to number 12, which is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now this game is set in industrial London, and Syndicate is a step back from the RPG shift, but it really does still struggle to find its footing. Jacob and Evie Fry are enjoyable leads, with Evie's stealth focus standing out as a highlight. The city is lively, though not as lively as Assassin's Creed Unity, but the introduction of the rope launcher adds a fresh traversal option, although the story is thin and predictable, leaning heavily on cliches. Combat is improved, but lacks the weight of earlier entries, and the side activities, while varied, often feel like filler content instead of adding to the overall gameplay experience. Syndicate is charming, but it's not essential to continue the Assassin's Creed journey. So when Assassin's Creed Syndicate was first announced, I was ecstatic to play the game. I mean, it's the first title I actually got hands-on with before the game launched, and it was set in London, it was set in the UK, my hometown. I loved it. It was great. But then when you get further into the title, you realize that some stuff we loved from AC Unity weren't present within the game. I mean, the parkour seemed a little bit dumbed down from what Unity was. We really couldn't do any of the cool little parkour moves or animations, but one thing the game did do well is expand upon the black box mission style. First released and playable within AC Unity, the black box missions allowed you to go about an assassination any way you desired. However, in Syndicate, they expanded upon giving you more options. I mean, one, for instance, you have to enter a hospital or psychiatry building, church, castle, whatever you want to call it. And depending on the route you took, it would give little hints to actually access unique cinematic cutscenes whilst assassinating a target. This is something really cool, and I would love for them to bring it back. The newer black box missions are basically open world. You go and do it how you want. However, a little bit of hand holding and some cool cinematic cutscenes where you can see how much effort your character would go to assassinate a target would be really cool to see. And overall, Syndicate is an entry in the franchise. Is it a necessity to play? I'm gonna have to go with no. At number 11, this one might shock you, but it's the original Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed 1. The original Assassin's Creed was very ambitious, but very rough around the edges. Altair is iconic, but the character development is minimal. The parkour at the time was revolutionary, and the open world was a new experience, but the repetitive missions and clunky combat hurt the immersion. The story set the foundation for the franchise's mythos, introducing the conflict between assassins and Templars and the Pieces of Eden. It's a classical case of potential that needed refinement, which we know it got in the sequels and other entries into the franchise. The main thing that puts AC1 down for me at number 11 is purely for the fact that I didn't play the game originally. The first game I played was AC2, and then obviously the Ezio trilogy and AC3 and all that sort of stuff, so it took me a few years before I even managed to play AC1, and going from those titles, AC1 really, when it comes to gameplay, doesn't compare to those titles. I mean, the story itself is really cool, it's unique, and spoiler alert, having your own mentor betray you at the end and be the main villain using these Pieces of Eden to attack you really opened up the world to the possibilities of an Assassin's Creed game, where the story could go, where Altair could go to next. It was really cool, and I love to see it. We didn't get a sequel to Altair, We did get to see him more in Revelations, but that's one of the main reasons why it's at 11 and not lower. The gameplay and combat itself is basic, of course. You can block, parry, attack, block, parry, attack. Again, for the game when it was released, it was great, but compared to newer standards and what gamers want, it's not there. But then at number 10, we have Assassin's Creed Mirage. Mirage was Ubisoft's attempt to recapture the stealth and narrative focus of the early Assassin's Creed titles. It was set in Baghdad, and it's leaner, faster, and more about assassination and parkour than RPG mechanic. Basim coming back from Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a pretty unique choice, and having him as this intriguing protagonist with a mysterious past, with a story that delves into the Assassin-Templar conflict, really did make the game shine brightly for most. The gameplay does feel tight and familiar, a refreshing break from the recent sprawling RPGs. It has a lot of flaws, but it was a promising direction from the series. Now, Mirage having a somewhat prequel to a character we saw within Valhalla was a unique choice. We saw Basim basically become this reincarnation of Loki, and Isu being in Valhalla, having his own title, learning about how he became this character was great and cool to see. It did add a lot of promise within the game, you know, oh my god, we're going back to the classic Assassin's Creed style games. There's not really any loot boxes. However, the MTX store was still there. The story itself, you could see it coming from a mile away, and I don't think it was needed. I feel like Assassin's Creed Mirage was built just to keep fans of the older games happy for a while until they release the next RPG title. For me, Mirage is a fun and good game. Again, Ubisoft titles, they always look amazing. However, the story just didn't hold up for me. So at number 9, I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I know a lot of you are questioning myself right now, being like, I thought you hated the RPG titles, why is this so high up on this list? And it's not the fact that I hate the RPG elements, I hated it when they completely rid the games of the Assassin v Templar element, which Odyssey does quite a lot. Now again, Valhalla is probably the most bloated entry in the series because it wants to be everything and it wants to please everyone. It's an epic Viking saga, it's an Assassin's Creed original throwback, it's a settlement builder, it's a loot game, and in doing so, doing all of this stuff, it really does dilute it at its core. However, Eivor is such a compelling character, especially in the quieter moments. I mean, when I think about a scene from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I picture Eivor and Basim sat around the campfire with these amazing cinematics, talking, having a discussion, and you really do grow to like the character. With the other side characters as well, you grow connections with them, you build with them, and it really does feel like you are part of this Brotherhood so and so called. The Norway and Vinland arcs themselves are very intriguing, but further into the main campaign, other than the story, it does become a massive checklist of territories to conquer, with very little narrative payoff. The reason why it's so high up on my list is because I love the combat. The raids are really fun, and at some points, yes, you do have the ability to feel like an assassin. Morphology though does take over quite a lot within the campaign, especially within the DLC, and honestly, if you go back and play through those DLCs not thinking about an Assassin's Creed game, it really does hold up quite a lot, and they are thoroughly enjoyable, and they even add more to the Isu backstory that we know and love from previous Assassin's Creed title, which again is something that needs to be brought into the newer games because that's what we all fell in love with, the mythological and science really melding into one. It's just something that I would love to see again. There's a lot of ambition in Valhalla, and it does get buried under too many systems, and there's not enough focus overall. But that's why Valhalla sits at number 9. And then we go on to Assassin's Creed Shadows, sitting at the number 8 spot for myself. Swift Shadows releasing just over a month ago. The game itself and the world is incredible, it's fun to play, and of course with the new parkour improvements, it just makes the game a lot more fun to play. You have the dual protagonists of Naue and Yasuke, Naue being the assassin archetype and Yasuke being this massive brute archetype where you could just tank anyone and take anyone down with him. When the game was first announced, we all got hyped and excited seeing this new parkour in action, and when you actually got your hands on the game with the new updates that actually released a few days ago, we finally understood, wow, this is what parkour should be going forward, this is Assassin's Creed. And then with the stealth as well, the new lighting system they implemented, incredible. It needs to be implemented into future AC titles if they want to keep up this standard. The story itself though, to me, whilst it had some impactful moments, my main problem with it was the way it was laid out. The Assassin v Templar storyline was essentially linked to side quests that the player could go about in any way they wanted. To me, this isn't good, and it really should be linked into a more linear style story system. As well as that, having Naoe's backstory linked to some more side quests where you do get to go and see some cutscenes wasn't a good idea. Again, spoiler alert, but when her father dies at the beginning of the game, I personally didn't feel any emotional connection to him. I wasn't sad. I was like, oh, okay, I've met him a couple times. Oh, he's dead. Okay, this gives Naoe her story moving forward. If we had Naoe's backstory more implemented with the beginning of the game, it would have felt a lot more impactful and emotional. And the same goes for Yasuke. All of his backstory is linked to these Templar conspiracy missions that you go about and you assassinate these Templars, but also the side quests of learning about how he became a samurai, his training, meeting these characters, all of which should be linked to the main story and somewhat woven into a more linear experience. So that's my problem with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that's why it's at number 8. The world's beautiful, the gameplay itself is incredible, the combat's fun, the stealth, amazing, move it forward. The story needed to be a little bit more linear. Don't let players randomly explore and find a Templar or shoot back through target randomly. Have it linked to the story so it adds more impact. But then we go on to number 7, which for me is Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, there's no game in the series that better encapsulates the tragedy of wasted potential like Unity. At launch, it was a huge meme. NPCs without faces, clipping glitches, and a frame rate that could make a slideshow blush. But once the dust settled and patches did their job, what emerged was arguably the most pure Assassin's Creed experience since Ezio hung up his hood. Paris is the real protagonist here. It's dense, vertical, breathtaking, the best city Ubisoft has ever built. I mean, they used Notre Dame to rebuild the real life one once it was burnt down. That's how beautiful these cities are. Then you had the crowd systems, the most amount of NPCs we've ever had in an Assassin's Creed title, open interiors, and amazing parkour mechanics that all work together to make you feel like a true predator in a powdered keg. Arno, however, is a mixed bag. His motivations, revenge, and redemption are standard, but there's an underlying tragedy to him that the game fails to fully mine. His romance with Elise is rushed but holds narrative weight. They're on opposing sides and yet tethered by love. It's Romeo and Juliet meets the Assassin Templar War. Gameplay is really focused on stealth, social stealth, interior kills, and open-ended assassinations, i.e. the Black Book missions, that really invoke the Hitman series more than the bloated RPGs that AC would become. And customization is pretty impressive still to this day. With the online mode added as well, co-op and open-ended heist missions, it really was the Assassin's Creed title that fans have wanted for years. It's just a shame that the game released with a ton of bugs and glitches, whereas I truly believe this could be one of the best titles. Unity was ahead of its time, but very much buried beneath its own ambition. Personally, I feel like it deserves a second chance, maybe adding in the stealth mechanics and lighting systems that AC Shadows had. That would be incredible and something I would love to see. I mean, the story itself was cool and we got some nice twists. However, for me, it just didn't do it. And that's why Assassin's Creed Unity is at number 7. And then moving on to number 6, we have arguably one of the best RPG entries into series, and it is Assassin's Creed Origins. As mentioned before, it is the best of the RPG trilogy with some tonal backlash. Bayek and Aya are fantastic characters, tragic, layered, and driven by loss. Their love and shared pain ground the story. Ancient Egypt is majestic, the world building is top tier, but the RPG mechanics, leveling, loot, hit points, it really did dilute the stealth fantasy. Combat is fun, but never truly satisfying because we didn't get any of this stealth mechanics back within the game. The emotional beats do land, and Bayek's transformation into this first true assassin other than Aya was really fun, and it really resonated with me as I played through the story. However, it's a game torn between spectacle and subtlety. It was a necessary reinvention, but not without growing pain. But for me, the reason why this game is so high up on the list, not because of the gameplay, not because of this massive RPG title, but because of the story, the cinematics, the way you felt playing as Bayek. This character was amazing. It was unique to the game. The overall combat, yeah, okay, we get it, it was alright, but the story, as soon as you start the game, you are connected with this character. You see his own emotions. You see the loss in his eyes. He will do anything to take down these Templar, these proto-Templars within the world of Origins. Plus, the open world allowing you to enter pyramids was not to love. And honestly, I really feel like they should have just continued with Bayek in a sequel, rather than going to Origins and then Valhalla with two completely new characters. Continue the story with Bayek, have him go to Rome with Aya and set up the Assassin Brotherhood, do all of that stuff. That would have been cool, and I know a lot of people would have loved it. But then we move on to number 5, which is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Now, Brotherhood is where Ezio becomes more than just a charming killer. He becomes a mentor, a leader, a symbol. Set entirely in Rome, the game doubles down on the urban playground idea. Rome is massive, filled with political intrigue, landmarks, and systems to liberate, upgrade, and control. The Brotherhood mechanic, where you recruit, train, and deploy assassins, is a brilliant evolution. For the first time, you're not just an assassin, you're a mentor, and you're building a movement. The story is leaner but sharper. Cesare Borgia is a fantastic villain. He's arrogant, ruthless, and deeply tied to the historical corruption of the Vatican. Watching Ezio dismantle his empire piece by piece is immensely satisfying. Gameplay wise, it does refine everything that AC2 introduced: tighter combat, smarter missions, and there's more things to do without overwhelming the player. However, it didn't improve it enough. For me, the main thing that I think about when it comes to Brotherhood gameplay and combat is you can now chain assassinate enemies after successfully parrying one of them. It does get a bit boring after a while because you want to be able to control the character. You want to be able to move between enemies and instantly assassinate them or kill them or that sort of thing. Again, is this something the RPG titles have given us that we would love in previous titles? Maybe, but overall, Brotherhood isn't just a great sequel, it's great because it's a continuation of Ezio's story. It takes what works, polishes it, and adds just enough without diluting the core. Something I know a lot of fans would love for the RPG characters. Sequels, not new characters. And then at number 4, we have Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Let's be honest, a lot of us, when the game was announced, kept going on, oh, this isn't Assassin's Creed title, this is just pirates, so what's it to do with Assassin's Creed? But I was one of those, and I can admit when I'm wrong. The game had no right to be as good as it is. It's a pirate-themed Assassin's Creed, yet Black Flag is one of the most joyous, bold, and emotionally surprising entries into the franchise. Edward Kenway is a scoundrel. He's a drunk. He's a man out for gold, not glory. He doesn't care about the Templars or the assassins, and that's exactly what makes his arc so compelling. He's not a chosen one. He's a man who slowly realizes that legacy matters more than loot. The naval combat is sublime. Sailing feels incredible, storms crash, shanties echo, and every island holds secret. The ship, the Jackdaw, becomes more than just transport. It's your freedom. It's where your shipmates, your family live, and it really is a cool, unique addition to the franchise and a huge upgrade on what we got from the naval combat in Assassin's Creed 3. But what makes Black Flag endure is its quiet tragedy. The golden age of piracy ends not with a bang, but with disillusionment. Friends die, dreams fade. Edward stands alone on a dock with his daughter, a broken man looking for redemption. It may not be the best assassin of Assassin's Creeds, but it is one of the best games Ubisoft has ever made. And I, for one, would like to see it remade. I would like to see a sequel. I would like to see some kind of DLC where we can continue Edward's story. It is one of the best, and that is why I have grown to love Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And at number 3 is Assassin's Creed Revelations. Ezio was not meant to last this long, but I'm sure we are all glad he did. Revelations is an emotional send-off. It trades youthful charm for age, wisdom. Ezio is older, rarer, and questions his purpose. It's about legacy, closure, and understanding. The setting, Constantinople, is a brilliant blend of East and West, old and new. The political tension and Templar threat are solid, but this game isn't about the plot. It's about learning who Altair really was and what the Brotherhood mean. Altair's flashbacks are poignant, especially the final one. A dying man leaving wisdom for generations to come. It's not just fan service, it's myth building. The gameplay does add some fluff, tower defense, which was unnecessary, but core stealth, traversal, and combat hold strong. And in that final scene, walking down into the pit, as Altair sitting down and then watching Ezio lay down his weapons, saying goodbye to Desmond across time, it hits like a gut punch. It's the most mature entry in the trilogy. It's not the flashiest, no, but the most soulful. And the side characters, Yusuf, I'm not afraid to admit I shed a tear when he passed, when he got killed protecting our loved one. It is a really good game with an amazing story, and one that I will continue to hold up in high regards as newer titles get released. So at number 2 on my Assassin's Creed game ranking is Assassin's Creed 3. Now this is going to be massively controversial, but AC3 is better than people remember. It took massive risks. Some landed, some didn't. But few games in this series try to do as much. Connor is stoic, yes, but he's also principled. Angry, conflicted, he grows up in a nation being born in blood, trying to find justice in a world designed to deny him agency. His journey is personal, not political. Haytham, his father, steals the show in the first third. You play as this charismatic Templar whose ideology isn't entirely wrong. Their dynamic, assassin versus Templar, father versus son, is the best in the series, and I'm pretty sure we all remember the first time playing AC3 where we do spend a solid few hours with Haytham, only to find out he is a Templar, and when we switch to playing as Connor. What a cool twist. I really enjoyed that. The gameplay, however, is divisive. The frontier traversal is fluid but inconsistent. Cities are less impressive than past entries, but the combat is brutal and the missions often play with structure in clever way. The homestead subplot is surprisingly touching, being able to meet these characters and basically get them to join your Brotherhood and use them in different ways, such as getting crafting materials, trading, was a really nice touch, which I think a lot of the recent RPG titles, especially Shadows with the Hideout, have implemented. The gameplay itself was brutal. We did have the classic parry option, chain assassinations type thing back, but adding cinematic dual assassinations and takedowns was a nice touch. Connor, essentially, other than Eivor, is the most brutal assassin we've had. Well, Eivor was only an assassin, but you get what I'm going at. His takedowns, his moves, his skill set really does lend to this brutal frontier. And when you think about it, being able to go between each city, being able to explore the frontier was quite the first step in introducing a massive open world Assassin's Creed title. I really do like the games, I like the character, I love the story, and the modern day for me, peak, absolute peak. I loved it. And getting a bit personal, Assassin's Creed 3 was the first time I really got into the franchise. I was watching the E3 gameplay trailers, I was looking at the interviews, and I guess at some point that does lend into why this ranks quite highly for me. But I will suggest, if you haven't played it already, go back, play the game, it is worth it. And then, no surprises, Assassin's Creed 2 is the #1 Assassin's Creed game for me. It isn't just the best entry though, it is the blueprint. The Renaissance, not just in setting, but in design. Ezio Auditore is the most beloved character in the series for a reason. His transformation from arrogant noble to master assassin is perfectly paced. He loses family, he gains purpose, and his charm is matched by his sincerity. Italy itself is stunning and vast. You can go to Florence, Venice, Tuscany, Monteriggioni, and each city and location feels distinct. The architecture isn't just pretty though, it serves gameplay. It's climbing towers, tailing targets, leaping into canals, it's all seamless. The story is also a masterclass in escalation. Templar conspiracies, the hidden vaults, pieces of Eden, and that ending, the holographic god addressing Desmond directly, addressing us the players. I know I'm not the only one that got goosebumps goosebumps. Everything in this entry works. The music and the Ezio's family has become the pinnacle Assassin's Creed OST that they use throughout all of their titles. The mission variety, the progression, the story itself balances emotion, intrigue, and fun like no other. This is what Assassin's Creed can be when it tries to stop chasing the trends and remembers its soul. This for me is the pinnacle of Assassin's Creed. This is the first AC game I ever played. I remember going around a friend's house, they had their Xbox out and they were playing Assassin's Creed 2. I was like, okay, what's that game? Okay, oh, Assassin's Creed. Okay, well, I got the controller. What do you do? Anything. Oh, okay, so I can run up that building. Yes, I can kill those people. Yeah, I can assassinate. What the fuck's an assassination? And you go into more of it and the story and the modern day. It really is a cool, unique, amazing, stellar game that if you were to play an Assassin's Creed for the first time, go and play Assassin's Creed 2. It really is the best of them all, and hopefully in the newer titles we see more of what we loved in this game. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my ultimate ranking for the Assassin's Creed titles. I know a lot of you are probably shocked where I had a couple titles, but again, it's my own personal ranking based on what I've played, the gameplay, story, all of that involved. Down in the comments down below, let me know what your personal ranking is for the Assassin's Creed titles. Of course, if you do that, you will be in with a chance to win some cosmetics from the Dead by Daylight DLC that just released within Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you had, a like would be greatly appreciated, and if you want more Assassin's Creed videos, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with the latest and greatest content for Assassin's Creed. I hope you all have an amazing day though, and I'll see you in the next video.